Hello, welcome to Business Reporter's The Future of Responsible Business campaign. I'm Ashley Blake. Switching from fossil fuels to low-carbon energy is vital if we're to keep the rise of global average temperatures below 1.5 degrees Celsius. As a consequence, the energy industry is facing a challenge. How do we satisfy a growing demand for energy whilst making the production and distribution of it more sustainable? The transition to low-carbon energy not only requires the use of new technologies, it also means that energy firms will have to operate in an entirely new way in order to deliver energy to their customers. How can software help energy companies tackle those challenges? That's what we're going to discuss today with Lisa Wee, Vice President of Sustainability of AVEVA. What makes the production and distribution of renewables so challenging?
Well, there's a number of challenges, but the big three relate to intermittency, distribution, and then cost. So, as you know, the sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow. So renewable energy sources go on and off. And that means that we need to be able to have advanced capabilities to manage supply and demand. Those resources also produce a lot of data as they turn on and off in real time. They are also distributed across geographies. They're very scattered. So that gets to this distribution point. It means, again, we're going to have data coming in, not just from a couple of plants as we might have done historically. We are now going to have data coming in from hundreds and thousands of wind farms and solar systems, very often in remote locations, either far offshore or in very scarcely populated areas. And that creates a data challenge. And lastly, I spoke about cost. Even though we are seeing the cost of renewables go down, there is still a cost to being able to build these facilities or be able to retrofit existing facilities so that they can run on renewables. The good news is we're seeing a lot of investment in this area, and that investment includes investing in the build, but also in digital solutions that can help you to manage this data in real time, visualize it, and take action on it.
You mentioned three main challenges there, sort of distribution, intermittency, and cost. They sound like a serious obstacle on the road to a sustainable market. So how does AVEVA help?
So we help energy companies across the asset lifecycle. So actually starting with that engineering phase, but especially in the operations and optimization capacity. So we help energy companies to get better data in the beginning, and better decisions come from better data. We've also seen that with now these renewable energy sources generating such a large volume of data, it's actually too much for the human mind to be able to process and manage. And that's where technology comes in, because we can run analytics over the top of the data that is being created. And we can use that to understand it. We can use it to predict how assets will behave in the future. And that's really exciting, because where we can predict, we can intervene, we can change, and we can get to more reliable green power.
You claim that data leads to insight, and insight helps us in the optimization and production and distribution. What does your solution look like? How do you offer the insight and data?
So we offer a strong suite of solutions, starting with helping energy producers to actually design the plants and to design them in a way that they will be able to factor in powering them by using renewable energy resources. But we also help them to operate those plants more efficiently, to optimize them for cost and for carbon. And those two twin goals actually go together increasingly. And that's something that's very positive and that you can leverage through digital technology.
You described engineering solutions that help planning, controlling and optimizing energy generation. Would you be able to give us a few examples?
Absolutely. So let's take energy grid management, right? So at a national level, we work with companies that need to be able to balance energy that comes in from nuclear, from subsea interconnectors, from renewables. They need to be able to manage these very chatty renewable sources and make sure that they can balance supply and demand, because they know that customers want to move towards green power, but they don't want the inconvenience of power outages. Businesses can't run when there are increased power outages. So it's very important that we can manage that intermittency well, to be able to avoid a situation where we would have the lights going off, to get very concrete about it. So we offer systems that allow you to capture real-time data across millions of data points that will refresh automatically. There's no manual pulling of data. The data, you can run smart analytics on top so that you can understand exactly that balancing of supply and demand. And again, that's what really allows for us to increase the reliability of the grid. And that's what's going to increase the pace at which we can accelerate green grid transitions globally.
Predicting blackouts and understanding patterns of consumption are surely a great win for consumers. Also, governments have ambitious plans to transfer their energy sector of their nations to use renewable resources. Do you think the adoption of your solution is fast enough?
Well, it's definitely accelerated. Post COP26, it's estimated that global power capacity, 95% of new global power capacity is going to come from renewables between now and 2026, and almost half of that from solar. So that's very promising. But in terms of the level of ambition, we're not quite there yet. But we are seeing a growing momentum within the private sector. There is not a conversation with our customers that does not mention sustainability, that does not involve a discussion about how we can help them to reduce their carbon as well as to optimize for cost.
Okay, it seems like you have a balanced review of the progress. On one hand, you've welcomed the adoption of the necessary technologies. On the other hand, you're disappointed that we still haven't done enough to keep global warming at bay. What do you expect from the decision makers and societies? What would you like to see in the near future?
I think in the next 5 years, I'm hoping that we will see an acceleration of deployment of technology and greater understanding that profitability and responsible business go hand in hand. So where we can cut waste from the system, where we can operate more efficiently, we will see businesses reduce their costs, but also reduce their carbon, and therefore help us to get to a place where we limit global warming to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels.
Lisa Wheat from AVEVA.